Hi guys, so I'm sure by now you all know I'm absolutely mad for orcs, and my favourite place to sort of look for orcs is Mr. Modulorc. It's a link down below, guys. If you do love orcs as much as me, go check him out as well. There's a crazy amount of orcs down there, all kind of sort of shapes, sizes, vehicles, looking, different weapons, just amazing stuff. And yeah, here I am again, just 'cause I can't get enough, but I'm having a go at doing a biker dude this time. So obviously I'm not going to play this chap at all, so I kind of thought, well, why not supersize him and print out a really large sort of miniature. So that's exactly what I'm doing here, and I've increased this chap by 380%. And this is why I absolutely love 3D printers. Obviously not only can you just print things off and it's like a kid in a toy shop, you can have whatever you want, but it's the fact you can print things off at whatever scale you want. So in the past, generally I've made miniatures, well, smaller, more miniature. But yeah, so this chap, I really like the idea of having someone I could just have on my desk, or even a shelf, because this dude is big, I must admit. Yeah, I didn't realise just how big he was going to be until everything was printed out, and it was like, oh yeah, he is quite large. So as you can see, yeah, I took everything in initially, but obviously it's not all going to fit at once. So it is a case of deleting a lot of stuff and doing this in sections. And this is why I've picked or downloaded all the parts that don't have supports. The great thing with Mr. Modulorc, you can get pre-supported items, or like here you can get items unsupported as well. I want to put the supports on myself because I wasn't too sure what kind of angle I would need to put things to, well, make sure they fit on the bed or the plate of the printer I'm going to use, which is obviously the good old GKTWO, because that is kind of my general go-to printer. I do like trying out some new ones, and I have got a few. Well, I've got a few sitting boxes over there in the corner, so as soon as Christmas is out of the way, I will be packing them or unpacking them and getting them out. So yeah, so this guy, I did have to print him out on, I think it's about 3 or 4 different build plates. So the GK2 is, well, it's probably like a medium size printer, so reasonably large, but obviously not as large as some others. So the other thing I've tried to do is hollow out the parts. Because obviously increasing it by this amount, yeah, these parts are going to be big. And as you can see, they are gorgeous. Yeah, so they're pre-supported or pre-supports in the software. They're not too bad. Certainly much better than it was a good 2-3 years ago. Try and do supports in things, yeah, they didn't work out too well. So as you can see, here's my normal sort of size guy, and this is my huge one. Guys, yeah. I absolutely had a smile on my face the whole time I've been working on this chap, just because I just love the fact I can print them out so big. And I certainly will be printing out, well, some more big ones. Obviously at the moment, guys, as I'm always saying, yeah, I'm just a guy sitting at a desk in his living room. I don't have a fancy sort of workshop, a garage, or even a spare room. But when I do finally get something a bit bigger, I can't wait to have a nice big shelf behind me full of lots of wonderful bits and pieces that I've been making. And yeah, certainly these orcs, I will be printing out some more large orcs, and maybe even a space marine, just for the orcs to well, make fun of, because yeah, I've absolutely loved this oversized dude. And this is the other reason why I love Mr. Modulorc stuff so much, is this is obviously supersized, but look at the amount of definition that this guy has taken over the whole part of this sort of project and this build. Yeah, the orc obviously printed out really well with his lovely muscly torso and arms. But yeah, the bike, everything on the bike, it's so well made. And yeah, the fact that you can print this thing, obviously the size that I've done, and it just looks awesome. So there's a couple of little problems with the main bit of the bike. Not too sure why, but you can see there's a couple of like little cuts in it, where obviously it hasn't quite printed, well, perfectly. Luckily it hasn't really sort of made too much of an impact on the whole bike, and you will see later on I'll just kind of fill any little gaps with some filler. But yeah, so this thing's come out beautifully. Obviously there is a lot of wastage in the supports. This is obviously one downside to the resin printing. You do sometimes feel like almost half of your print is supports. But obviously you need to have the supports to make sure, well, the print comes out well. So it's gone through the old wash and cure process, and yeah, now it's all ready for me to, well, start assembling, putting together, and obviously putting, well, a lot of glue on this bad boy. As you can see, just using the normal super glue. I do quite often get asked what glue I'm using, and to be honest, it's the cheapest one I can find on Amazon. It is a super glue, but it does sort of sometimes take a good 5, 10, maybe even 20 seconds to really sort of cure properly. But yeah, on the whole, it's not too bad. And yeah, so this thing went together really, really well. I probably should have taken a little bit more time just to make sure I'd got rid of all the sort of the support marks that were left. This is a case of sometimes you don't often see them until you start painting, and then yeah, they show up. Generally, once you've primed something black and then do a bit of the old dry brushing, that's when you can see where there's, well, little potholes. But say, on the whole, this guy came out really, really well. There was just a few bits on his back, but yeah, other than that, perfectly. So it was just a case of me sort of fiddling around then, just sort of get him so he sits in nicely. But again, I know I've said it before, guys. Yeah, when I was sort of assembling this guy, yeah, big smile on my face, just because, well, it's just so fun to make something that is large. And obviously my channel is called Miniature Hobbyist, so generally, well, generally things are miniature. But that being said, obviously this guy, yeah, he's still a miniature, because obviously if he was real life, he would be, well, a whole lot bigger than he's looking here. And yeah, this is definitely I love again, Mr. Modular. So many different orc heads. There's a huge big variety. Obviously I've gone for this one because, well, he's got a beard and he's bald, and yeah, I can think of someone who's got a beard and bald. So yeah, I'll do some of the old green stuff, and as you can see, I filled a few little areas in. Yeah, between his wrist and his hand wasn't too bad, and generally when you print these out at normal size, yeah, it's perfect, you can't see anything. But there's a little bit of a gap there, so I thought I'd just fill it with green stuff, as well as I say, the few little areas on the bike that didn't quite print out as I should have. But yeah, look at him, he is awesome. So I did sand down the wheels a little bit so he stands or sits on the wheels nicely, because I'm not going to do a base for him. I literally want him to sort of like, well, sit as he is. And yeah, good old primer him in black, and now a bit of dry brushing. So I've got a couple of sizes of dry brushes, but they still seem a bit too small. So good old cheap makeup brushes. I think this was about £8 for 12 different size sort of makeup brushes. This is one of the larger ones. So the smaller ones are, well, they're perfect for normal dry brushing. But as you can see, yeah, I've kind of like supersized it just so I can, well, cover more of an area. So again, this is where dry brushing, ideally if you can do circular motions, you get a much sort of smoother looking dry brush. If you just go left to right, that's where sometimes you can sort of see, well, brush marks and the like. Although sometimes, depending on what it is you're sort of painting, certainly terrain and stuff, yeah, dry brushing going left to right or up or down, so you get those sort of like scrape marks, can look good. But yeah, where possible here, I am trying to do little circular motions, just because I say it does sort of do a nicer, smoother kind of dry brush. And again, this is where though you get to see all the lovely definition that's in this dude. And yeah, obviously the other reason I love orcs is they are nice, beefy looking dudes, got the old arms out, and yeah, they've got some guns on them. So there are a lot of you lovely people out there watch my videos that aren't subscribed. If you could just click that subscribe button, it really would make my day, as I really am sort of wanting to get now to 100k subscribers. Obviously got another 20k, so it's still quite a way off, but obviously with your help, liking, sharing, commenting, and obviously subscribing to my videos on my channel, that would just be absolutely awesome, and yeah, make my day. So as you can probably tell by now, yeah, this guy is obviously getting slap chopped. Yeah, good old priming in black, dry brushing. And now on to the good old speed paints. So yeah, you can use speed paints on larger models. It is just a case of trying to do an area by itself, then another area. Yeah, obviously I will put up on the screen as well all the colours and paints that I use. So I'm using a bigger brush than normal. Yeah, unfortunately guys, I'm not the best at looking after my brushes. I'll be honest with you there. Yes, that's why sometimes they don't look as good as they should do. And this is purely down to me, yeah, probably not taking as good as care as I should. So yeah, with him, say with speed paints, they can dry pretty quick. Especially speed paints 2.0, which in a way is good. But sometimes if you painting something larger, then it's not so good. Because obviously once it dries, you go over it again, you're going to get a different sort of look to the bits I've had just the one coat. So with him, I'm trying to do every area as like a separate individual bit. So all his sort of muscles, I'll do each of those in their own sort of bit. Obviously his arms aren't too bad, it's more his jacket and the larger areas where, yeah, you really want to sort of like almost paint it by sections just to make sure. So yeah, so obviously his arms dried pretty quick there, kind of before I've even got on to do other bits. But this is what I just want to show, yeah, on his back you can see all these little dimples. This is obviously where the supports were. And again, this is why when you get miniatures from people and they do their own supports, yeah, go for them. Because Mr. Moduluk stuff, you can barely see any sort of support marks. Obviously I put these supports in myself, and yeah, that's why they're probably not as good as they could be. But hey ho, once this thing is fully painted, you can't really see these that badly. If I'd known more when I first sort of like took him off the supports, I probably could have given him a little bit of a light sanding, and maybe even a bit of filler just to sort of go over and then light sand that down. But clearly I didn't. And yeah, but again, I'm always going to keep whatever I do, I'm going to keep in, whether I make mistakes or not. And also I'm always going to tell you if I make mistakes, because, well, that helps other people then not make mistakes, hopefully. But yeah, so painting this dude was kind of like a doddle, even though he is, say, obviously a lot bigger than I would normally paint. But yeah, I loved him. So the speed paint's gone really, really well, cover it really well. And you don't use kind of like as much as you might think you might. I really thought I was going to be using a lot of paint on this dude. But yeah, this stuff, obviously the speed paints, goes on perfectly, spreads really, really nice. And yeah, everything was done with just sort of one coat. So I hope you guys are all having a great Christmas as well. This video is obviously being published on Christmas Day. So yeah, happy Christmas everyone. I hope you're all having a great time with family, friends, loved ones, or just enjoying yourself in a bit of peace and quiet. I'm certainly going to be having fun, because as this video goes out, no doubt I'll either be eating or I'll be playing Xbox games with my kids, because, well, I'm a big kid and I love playing games, as well as obviously painting small or large miniatures. Again, so I really can't get over the fact of I don't know why I've never done this before. Yeah, I absolutely love this dude. I love the size. So guys, if there's any other sort of well, kind of miniature you want to see made bigger, by all means let me know. So at the moment, Mr. Moduluk, yeah, I can't get enough of his stuff, and nearly every week something new seems to pop up. And obviously the recent stuff you might have seen is the sort of Star Wars looking stuff, the old AT-AT vehicle. And I've just seen recently, I think it was yesterday in fact, there was a snow sort of machine turned up. Can't remember the name of the snow thingy in Star Wars. I'll have to go and look, because obviously I've got a memory like a sieve. But yeah, I love his stuff, and the fact that he's combining sort of Star Wars stuff as well is just awesome. So yeah, if you watch a few of my videos now, especially when it comes to orcs, there's sort of my set colours I always use. So for the green skin, there's about 2, maybe 3 different sort of greens I love using. The browns, typically the brown I've used here, and yeah, this runic grey, I love this for jeans. It really does have like a really lovely sort of denim look. And this is possibly one of the paints, or few paints, that sometimes I do 2 coats, just because this one is quite a light colour and it can dry light. To be honest, I can't remember if I did 2 coats on this dude or not. I think it was just the one. I'm sure everything was just one. But yeah, so with his jacket, yeah, I had thought about doing it black, like a Hell's Angels kind of thing, but then I thought, nah, orcs, they love their colours. And obviously red, well, make things go faster. So you've got to try and get red in there somewhere. So I'm using that on his leather jacket, just because I think it looks pretty cool. And also towards the end you will see, yeah, I'd kind of almost finished painting this dude, and then because I kind of worked out or realised I was going to be publishing him on Christmas Day, it seemed to make more sense printing him out a little Santa hat, and painting that up. So you'll see that at the end, but then again you may have seen that in the thumbnail. To be honest, at the moment when I'm recording this, I'm not too sure. I've got a rough idea what I'm going to do with the thumbnail, but it does change. So you may have seen him with his Christmas hat, or I may have just given a spoiler. Anyway, let's get back to the video. And yeah, painting with speed paints, as we all know, it's easy, it's fun, and great results, which is just absolutely awesome. And I'm fortunate enough to have their big box of speed paints. So yeah, when it comes to colour choice, it's almost hard work sometimes because there's so many greens available. So which is great for doing their green skins, and it means I can paint an orc green, and it can have green stuff around it in a different sort of colour or different green, which is just awesome. But yeah, the same can be said with all like the reds, the blues, the browns. There's a nice choice of all of them with the speed paints, which is really good. I love them. And just to say, I'm not affiliated with Army Painter. I don't get sponsored by them in any way. I am very fortunate that they do send me sort of paints for me to sort of use and try out. But yeah, anything I say regarding, anything I use on this channel is my own words. Even if I was to be sponsored by companies, which obviously I am sometimes, I still sort of say, whatever I want to say about something. If it's good, then I'm going to say it's good. If it's bad, I'll let you know what bits I don't like. But yeah, so Army paint a range of, all their paints are just absolutely amazing. So I should have said at the beginning of this video, make sure you got a cup of tea, a biscuit, or even a sarnie. This is going to be a long video, but I do know a lot of you guys seem to, prefer the longer videos. I don't know if this is because obviously you're painting something and you just want to hear me waffle on in the background. I don't know if that helps you paint, or maybe you're even listening to me while you fall asleep at night. Who knows? I'm just thankful you're there, I'm here, and you're obviously watching me, or at least, very least, listening to, me sort of talk about stuff that sometimes I haven't got a clue what I'm talking about. But hey ho, we're all having fun, and I'm certainly having fun with this channel. And yeah, I've certainly enjoyed 2023 as I have painted, I can't even imagine how many miniatures I've painted this year. It's definitely been more than any other year because, about a year and a half ago, was it? The old SLAPCHOP sort of came in, and that certainly changed how I paint and, my love of painting. And yeah, that's why I have painted so many things this year. And, I can't wait to see what I'm going to be painting next year. But I know one thing, there certainly will be some more larger miniatures. Just because, again, I'm looking at this chap now on my desk, as well as obviously me recording over this video, and he just looks the nuts. Although it is getting me thinking now, if I had a lot of room, I would love to print out a kill team, 2 kill teams at this scale, and build a absolutely huge board for them to play on. Just because I do like the size of these bits. Obviously it would take quite a while to paint everything, whereas the smaller miniatures, obviously I could paint sort of a kill team of 6 miniatures in, probably about an hour doing the old SLAPCHOP method, whereas this dude, he probably took a good hour or so just on his own, purely because obviously the amount of, the size of him and the amount of paint that was sort of kind of needed. But absolutely love him, and to have a kill team this size would just be hysterical. So guys, don't forget, let me know in the comments, what would you like to see me paint next? I don't know, a Space Marine, Death Guard, Tyranid, whatever. Let me know in the comments, and if I can find something similar to what you're asking for and I like the idea of it, then I will have a go at printing one out. So I'm definitely going to do another orc, like a single standing orc. And I would definitely like to do a sort of Space Marine, and maybe have them in some sort of pose where, either they're like, one's got an arm around the other as though they're hugging each other, as for like a truce, or maybe they're in some sort of fighting stance. I'm not too sure. I guess it all depends on what kind of figures I can find and I like. But definitely another orc coming up very soon. And I will from now on definitely be including sort of like a shot, or even sort of like a title pop-up of every paint that I use, just so you can sort of see, how they come out and how they look on the good old sort of black primer, dry brush white miniatures. As obviously these paints do look different if they were just painted straight onto a purely white primed sort of miniature, or maybe even prime your miniatures in sort of, I don't know, browns or cream colours. Because obviously that definitely, again, affects the colour of these speed paints and how well they go on. So here he is, getting there. He's nearly done. Just a few sort of little bits here and there. And yeah, say I was just smiling throughout the whole of this. So obviously all the metallic areas, as we all know, and as I'm saying in all my videos, yeah, the Speed Paints metallic range, they go on really nice. They just don't have the wow factor, or as much of a wow factor as some of the other paints. Some of them are better than others when it comes to the metallic Speed Paints. They do have like darker areas in the recesses, a little bit lighter in sort of raised areas. But in general, yeah, in my mind, I'm always thinking, get the paint on, and then I'm going to use a wash of some sorts towards the end, just so it does have some darker areas and doesn't look as neat and tidy, well, as it kind of does at the moment. Oh, and I guess the other great reason for, well, printing something out so big is, well, that one thing that no one likes to paint. Well, there might be some people out there that like to paint it, and that's the eyes. Yeah, generally when it comes to eyes, I prefer any sort of miniature to be wearing a helmet, or to have, well, have their eyes closed, which is what I sometimes do, as in I paint them and then, yeah, I'm not going to try and do a little pupil on them. But obviously this dude being nice and big, yeah, it wasn't too bad doing the eye. I still made a little bit of an error, but then I can go over and correct that just by putting a bit of green, well, over any areas that I've gone with red that shouldn't have had it. But yeah, so I love the look of this Orc, and yeah, Orc heads, there's so many. Again, I can't stress how many heads Mr. Modulorc has made for Orcs. A whole variety of, obviously, looks, with different helmets on, different glasses on. Some of them are like looking like they're screaming or shouting. Yeah, there are just so many types of heads. It's just awesome. And the fact, obviously, the miniatures, when you print them out, they do sort of print out separately, as in the heads, the bodies, some of the arms, the weapons, the legs, and all the rest of it. So for his, yeah, his little light here, I'm using the Illuminous paint. I had considered painting the light white first and then doing this. And then obviously, as you can see, I didn't do that. I just thought, nah, let's put the paint straight over and see how it comes out. Obviously this one, yeah, it could have been a bit neater, a bit cleaner, but luckily when this paint dries, it looks better than it does when I first painted it on there. Don't worry guys, if you are still here, we are getting near the end of the video. Yeah, just a few more bits to paint, and then you can crack on and get on with the rest of your, well, your lovely Christmas day, your festivities, eating, drinking, and, well, being merry and very happy, which is what this hobby certainly does give me. It gives me plenty of happiness, as, yeah, I love printing things off. I mean, being able to 3D print stuff off in your own home is, it's just amazing. It really is like being a kid in a toy shop that you own, and you can just have whatever toy you want. So yeah, last little thing to sort of paint on this dude, and that's his little guitar at the back here. And this is part of the other reason why I love these Orcs by Mr. Modulorc. Yeah, there's so many variety of, well, little sort of props and bits and pieces that can go with Orcs, whether it is kind of like weapons of mass destruction, or whether it's musical instruments and speakers and the like, as well as all the lovely sort of vehicles you can get as well. I say, obviously, there's these kind of bikes. There's the bike with a sidecar. There's certainly some sort of bigger vans and things, and yeah, the AT-AT walker and this other sort of, well, snow speeder thingy that's just been released. So yeah, lots of bits and pieces for Orcs, and yeah, there's some fun tanks as well as their little counterparts, the little gobos, so the little sort of Gretchen looking things. So yeah, he's pretty much done. Just going to put a wash over this little thing. Well, this contains little bits of washes from a variety of other bottles. So yeah, I had quite a lot of bottles that were getting like half empty or quarter left or whatever. So I've just mixed them into this one. So this is a bit of a concoction of all sorts. But in general, it is going to be more of a sort of a brownier sepia wash than a black wash. And as you can see, yeah, I am just liberally applying this to all the kind of metallic bits and pieces that were painted. Yeah, just to add a bit more sort of character to it. Gives it a bit more dirty, grimy, sort of grimdarky look, which is definitely my sort of preferred look. And yeah, absolutely loved painting this guy, obviously assembling him, putting him together, and yeah, now I can't wait to sort of sit him on my desk, just keep looking at him while I print out, well, the next big thing. What that might be, who knows. Although if you leave comments down below on what you want to see me print out in the larger scale, yeah, let me know down below, and maybe it'll be your decision that well, picks out what I paint next. So yeah, as you can see, yeah, printed out a nice little a little Santa hat. Did the old sort of dry brushing look for that, hollowed it out, cut a few bits out for his ears, and yeah, there we go. One very lovely looking Santa type orc on his bike. Maybe I should have like printed out a huge big sack full of toys. Well, maybe next time I'll do that. But yeah, say for this dude, absolutely love how he's come out. Love how he looks. And yeah, I am definitely be printing out some large sort of miniatures in the coming sort of weeks, months, or whatever. So guys, don't forget to hit that like button, leave comments down below, share where possible, and yeah guys, please subscribe if you do enjoy what I do, as I do produce a couple of videos, well, every week. Big shout out, thank you to all my lovely sponsors for helping keep the channel going. Yeah, love you guys, happy Christmas, Merry New Year, and well, 2024 is going to be awesome. Okay guys, you take care, bye for now.